Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. You know what? Let's start with Sunny and Jason. So Julian thinks he's slick by using the fire escape, and he runs right into Sunny. So Sunny is pretty much like, all right, so start talking, and he pretty much confirms with Julian that, you're the guy that planted the bomb, at the floating rip or whatever. And of course, Julian, being Julian, is all like, oh, it's not my fault. Cyrus made me do it. And, this is when Sunny was like, so, what about that whole Michael and the baby thing? Whose fault was that? And pretty much, once again, Julian was like, and to some extent, Julian was like, well, it wasn't me, it was Brad that took Wiley. I just went along with it for my son. Again, even though Brad did it, he still went along with it, and he still, once again, blamed everyone else. I'm not gonna lie, I was really snitting, but like, I'm trying to see if I can try to explain that one. Nope, I can't do it. So while he's there questioning him, Sunny's like, so you can go to the police, and you can just tell everything that Cyrus did. And of course, at this point, Julian's like, no, because if I do that, well, Cyrus will kill me. And at this point, Julian's like, you know what, listen, you're either going to kill me, Cyrus is going to kill me, just get it over with, And so while Sunny's there hesitating, some other guy comes up and shoots Julian in the back. So there's this whole gunfight between Sunny and the other guy, and at some point Jason comes in there and Jason takes out the guy because, well, he's just Jason. But in that whole commotion, Julian disappears. I swear, I feel like Julian is just one of those guys. I was gonna sit there and say Julian's just a cockroach that's just the cockroach that just never dies, but he is literally one of those guys that just defies death. Okay? He somehow went from, Windermere, jumped, and not so much as a scratch on him. So, of course, at this point, I feel like at this point, bullets could just bounce off this guy. So, Julian's gone. Sunny and Jason leave because, the cops come up. The cops show up. And they're at the bar. They're at they're at the exact same cafe that Cyrus ordered a hit on him with Mike. So they're strategizing and trying to see what they can do as far as, like, taking out Julian when they find him. And, Sunny is being Sunny. He's all like, well, when we find him, I'm going to put a bullet in his head. Bro, you could have put a bullet in his head, like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago? What stopped you then? Whatever. So that pretty much ends their scene. So let's talk about Sasha. So Sasha meets up with Maxie, and at first, Maxie made it seem like Sasha was going to get fired. She was like, you know what, you're a liability, talk to the lawyers, you're just a PR nightmare. And I actually wrote in my notes that, well, so she's going to get fired, right? This what it looks like. But then Maxie's like, she drew up, well, the lawyers drew up some clause, basically sitting there saying that, they're going to watch her eat, they're going to make sure that she takes her drug tests and all that good stuff. Which, sound great up until a point. Sound great up until a point to Sasha, by the way. And to Max, it was like, alright, so the last little thing we're going to do is a PR spin. You got to get ahead of the story, because it's going to come out. And Sasha's like, is it a deal breaker? And Maxie's like, no. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, I don't really understand. Everyone knows that you were on drugs and stuff like that. You were high when you were doing, when you were doing your job. It's better for her to get out in front than for people to sit there and be speculating and stuff like that. Like, it's just a lot better. I don't understand. I mean, seriously, who is she hiding this from? I mean, the last time I checked, She didn't really seem like she had any family or any friends back in that C word that I can't pronounce, Chappaqua, I think. And everyone in Port Charles that knows her knows that she does drugs. So, who is she actually, like, trying to hide this from? I'm confused. So anyway, she talks to Maxie, and, she goes in the bathroom to cry out and hopefully not do any more lines. And then she comes back and she sees Cyrus, and she's all trying to be flirty with Cyrus and stuff. At that point, Brando walks over because Brando sees this whole thing, and Brando walks over, and Brando's like, "Yo, she was at your apartment trying to look for drugs, and she was trying to bust you. So I just figured I should let you know." And at this point, Cyrus gives Sasha a very stern warning. He's like, "Listen, you don't want it. Okay, go back to, playing dress up and all that good stuff, stuff that's safe for you." And then she just storms off. Because at one point, when Brando walked up, Brando tried to, hate to sit there and say this, kind of manhandled her a little bit, and, Cyrus was like, "Hey, that's not how we treat women here, But after Brando told on her, all that, that's not how we treat women, crap just went out the window. So at that point, what happened? At that point, Sasha pretty much stormed off. Cyrus talked to Brando for a little bit. And it's kind of weird, because at one point, okay, Cyrus is on the phone, and he tells Brando, there's some trouble, whatever, nothing that we can't handle, and then they both rush off. But then there's, like, another scene when Brando is sitting at the Metro Court or whatever, I guess at the bar area, and he's talking to Sasha. He's like, "Hey, so, are you alone? You good?" At this point, Sasha does not want to hear a damn thing that Brando has to say, and she's like, "Okay, cool, so, thanks for being a rat, and, bye," and just hangs up on him. Now, earlier, Cyrus was sitting there talking to Britt, and I don't understand how this is supposed to work. Okay, so Cyrus pretty much tells Britt about how his team, his pharmaceutical team or whatever, have developed some sort of drug to help with pain management. And it's going to be FDA approved by the government. It's all going to be legit. And Britt is like, "So, I have some concerns." And she talks about policy as far as, like, the doctors being incentive to, like, sell these type of, drugs or whatever, or pain medication. And, because Britt's like, at the end of the day, it's about the patients, it's about the health and well-being of the patients, not just, about making money, which is what it's going to do for the hospital. I guess he said that he got this brilliant idea from, Fenn as far as his Blackwood syndrome or whatever, or Blackwood's disease. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't think that Cyrus was too happy with Britt not being enthusiastic about, about this being a win for the whole team. And I'm starting to sit there and think that, well, I look at it and I'm like, I feel like Cyrus is starting to sit there and think that Britt may not be fully on board with the team. So when Britt says what she says and she walks off, Cyrus just has that look like, is she going to be a problem? And when am I going to deal with her? Yeah. So, walks off, and that pretty much ends that. Now, after Britt has her conversation with Cyrus, she has a conversation with Maxie. And I don't really understand, I don't really fully understand her issue with Britt. Because Britt was like, when am I going to see my nephew? And, Maxie pretty much just gave her the when hell freezes over. And I'm like, you do realize that technically that's his, that's his aunt. Like, I would think that Nathan would want, James to have a relationship with his aunt. So I don't understand why she's being so, like, frosty with her about that. I mean, I understand, like, she has problems with her mother, but that doesn't translate to her, so I don't really fully get that. But they talk about a little bit of history. They talk about Liesl, and then they talk about, all the stuff that she did to Peter. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of just like, and that has what to do with Britt. Like, seriously, the whole time she's like, oh, well, Liesl was this, and Liesl was her Oma, and yada, 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 and I thought we were cool, and I'm so glad that she's not here, and yada, 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 and I'm like, and this has what to do with Britt, because I'm still just totally missing it. So she lists off the complaints, and I'm not gonna lie, after a while, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it, Peter, got it. And I think that pretty much ends their story. Now, let's get to Tracy and Alexis. So pretty much at this point, Alexis is kind of like knocked out in the car, and Tracy calls the cops, and Chase comes over. And at first Tracy's like, they sent a detective over here. And, Chase was like, well, I was in the area. So, Alexis wakes up, and Tracy just, like, it's weird. It almost seemed like Tracy was just kind of making up this cover story as she went along with it. Like, as she was going, she was just making this up as she went along. And I'm like, really? Because some of the stuff, like what? So she's all like, oh, well, okay, tell me if this makes any sense. So she was like, yeah, I dropped her off at her house, but, then she was complaining about not having enough booze in the house, so, she wound up taking the car, and, I don't remember if she said that she got in the car with her, but she was like, she wound up taking the car, and this is where she was, and the whole time, Alexa's just kind of standing there, like she knows exactly what Tracy's doing. And my whole thing is, I don't understand why she didn't actually call her out on it. Like, she could have called her out on it. I mean, granted, it would have wrecked Ned's relationship with his wife, but, like, she still could have did that. And she just chose to say nothing, and I don't understand why. I mean, I know she's good friends with Ned, but, like, come on, seriously? You want to, like, be arrested for DUI? So when Chase was like, I want you to take the sobriety test, Alexa's like, I'm not going to do that because yada yada yada, and she tries to do her whole legal law drama gymnastics, and somewhere through the line, this is when Chase is like, alright, cool, so you're going to be arrested, and depending on which way the needle goes when you go down to the station, depending on which way the blood and alcohol level goes, you're either going to be given a little bit or a lot as far as, like, like how much she's going to be charged with. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, Alexis, you're not as smart as you think you are. You do know that most cops have to know a large amount of legal jargon and the law and stuff like that. Don't act like you're the only person that knows how to, use the law in your favor. I don't know, I felt like she was trying to get one over on Chase, like she was trying to act all smug and superior, like, sweetheart, you're not the only smart person in the room. Calm yourself. And she kept looking at Tracy like, And, you know, Tracy's just throwing all the dirt on her. Like, yep, she did this, she did that. She was behind the wheel. I was so worried about her. Is she going to go to rehab? And I'm just like, okay, Tracy, I see what you're trying to do. And then she gets read her Miranda rights, and, then she goes with chasing the squad car. And, well, that pretty much ends their story. And the last story is Franco, Liesl, and Scotty. So Liesl and Scotty are in a room. Scott. I always call him Scotty for some odd reason. They're pretty much looking over the doctor, that I can't remember his name, the doctor's dead body. And, you know, Scotty's all like, oh, you can revive him. You can get your little, you know, electric things and just kind of zap him back to life. You can do something. Scott, can you not see that he's not breathing? You know, Scott's all like, oh, that knife is so small, you know, it couldn't have done that much damage. I'm like, bro, he's not breathing. We can all see he's not breathing. What is wrong? Okay, alright, sure. So after a while, Liesl's like, listen, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And at this point, Liesl's like, you know what, listen, just let me think, let me come up with a plan, and I'll figure it out. You know, because the only thing that's going to wind up happening is you're going to go to jail, I'm going to go to jail, somebody's going to jail. So Scott leaves, he talks to Franco, he kind of gets him out the clinic, because, you know, Franco's like, why were you yelling in there? So they go back to the hotel, they're hanging out and they're talking, and at some point they get a knock on the door, and Franco's like, and Scotty's like, hey, just to let you know, I love you and I care about you. Franco's like, the hell you talk? Okay. So Franco answers the door, is Liesl. And Liesl tells Franco, hey, listen, just to let you know, that doctor's going to be away for a very long time, far, far away. Like, not on this plane level, kind of far away. But you're just in luck, because, you know, I know stuff about brain stuff, because, you know, I have an entire backstory of me working in some sort of clinic that dealt with the mind, so... Okay, sure. Listen, if that's true, great. Because there was a point that I wasn't watching this for a good minute. So if that was true, cool. But I'm not gonna lie, that just kind of seemed like that just, like, was very convenient for the plot. Kind of like how, what's his name? The guy... How Robert just suddenly had a law degree in his back pocket. Oh yeah, now I'm just a DA. You know, I'm just going to be the DA, the new DA of Port Charles. Wow, that almost kind of just came out of left field. When did you get that one from? Oh, the plot gave it to me. So, okay, sure. Now she knows stuff about brains. And when she's sitting there talking to Franco, you know, Franco sits there and says that, you know, about the whole memory transplant, or memory transfer or whatever. He's like, he feels that he's having Drew's memories, and he tells her that, you know, the voice that's inside his head, is Peter, talking to Drew. So now she's intrigued. Which makes sense, because, you know, she wants to bust Peter for, you know, all the bad stuff he did, pretty much the bad stuff that he did to, her, as far as framing her and making her lose contact with James, and I get all that, and you know what, listen, if she has to sit there and take Peter down for that, great. The whole Nathan thing, that, I'm not gonna lie, that just annoyed the living hell out of me. And I'm not gonna really get into it, but let's just sit there and say, it annoyed me. What else? And yes, that's actually going to do it. Thanks so much for watching. I know this one came out super late, so I don't know how many people are going to watch it, but whoever does, it means a lot. And I gotta sit there and say, before I go, and I'm probably going to sit there and say this in a couple of these videos, moving forward until whatever, the views have been, like, up. on the GH reviews. When I first started doing this for a while, days, views was higher than GH. And now GH reviews just like this. Like this. And I don't know how that happened, but I am really grateful. And I want to thank everyone for watching, because I know sometimes, Brock TV comes out with his review first, and guys are always on point, and then I usually pull out mine afterwards, because I usually do my days first. So for anyone again that watches his reviews and then watch mine, I really thank you. And for everyone new that have been watching my reviews, I thank you so much, because I enjoy doing them. And it's nice to know that people are watching it and, commenting and stuff like that. And, all that good stuff. I'm not going to lie, I'm really surprised by those numbers. And I want to thank everyone for watching. And I want to thank anyone for watching. Even if it's like 10 people, 12 people, whenever, however many people will watch, I want to thank you. And again, I'm so sorry to come out super late, but Monday's just my late days. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this episode, and I will catch everyone in tomorrow's review. At some point, Julian has to go, right? I mean, I love Julian as a character, but I mean, he already said that, he stopped filming at some point, so we're gonna get a resolution at some point, right? With this whole Julian thing.